YouTubers, Mike Martin's here, Mike Martin's channel. I need to really take a pill and chillax here. I am very I'm very upset, angry, and I have to kind of retard my anger a bit because I'm very angry. Somebody messaged something to me on YouTube and I thought they were joking. Then I told them to send me a link. They sent me a link. This was posted yesterday. It got by me. I've been talking about the same thing like a broken record for years and years. People with the whole FOMO getting into the markets and people getting into whatever they could get into, and governments pushing and basically pushing the bill onto the day-to-day average Joe Donuts that is not part of this bad deal is now being pushed in even further. So if you didn't buy a condo and you're looking to buy in and you're standing outside looking in, guess what? You're going to be paying somebody's strata fee through your taxes. And I wish I was making this up. I really wish I was making this up, guys. BC Liberals pressure province to help condo owners hit by skyrocketing strata insurance. BC Liberals pressure province to help condo owners hit by skyrocketing strata insurance. Do you know what that means? Most people obviously know what I just said. I just had to I had to say it like 3 times in case your ears didn't believe what I just told you. Because most people would just look at it like, what? No, that looks like a skit on a talk comedy show or something. What? Opposition table proposed legislation. Government commits to take a look at the ideas. So they got ideas in place. The BC Liberals want to target a growing problem of soaring strata insurance with proposed new legislation. So what happens is when a building gets overly valued, $700,000-$800,000 a unit, realistically the same building, condo, in let's say Fort Lauderdale is like $77,000. But in Canada, for some bizarro reason, it's $600,000-$700,000. What happens is insurance companies are going to look at this and they're going to say, this is too high of a risk. This is way too much money. We'll go insure a condo in Atlanta, Georgia, because the average condo goes for $89,000 for a 1-bedroom and $166,000 for a 3-bedroom condo. This is nuts in Canada. We're getting screwed so bad. So instead of letting the markets go on autopilots and let them crash and restructure and get things back on track, they artificially lowered interest rates to historically low levels for the longest time. We've created the biggest Frankenstein monster in history when it comes to housing finance. And they're just neglecting all the others that stood on the sidelines to watch this now have to pay for it. The opposition housing critic has put forward a private member's bill at the BC Legislature outlining measures that the party claims would trigger relief for condo owners hit with a sudden spike in strata costs. But what about small business owners that actually fund the private sector that funds the public sector? So basically the mom and pop's business like mine, I pay my PST, my GST, I do all my corporate returns, I do everything. My business pays, so that way at least my public sector jobs like my doctor, all that stuff is being paid for, right? But now we're going to have to do relief for strata condo owners that are sitting on overpriced properties that are severely 80% overpriced. Why is it severely overpriced? Wages are nowhere near what these properties should be selling at. Income should drive housing wages. So if there's a loss in jobs or there's weakness in the economy, housing prices should come down respectively and interest rates should go up. But we've been playing the game, importing in rich investors, importing in students that spend quadruple the amount of money for tuition, because the people that got degrees here in Canada, a majority of them, kind of played the system and got into it, but got the system played against them. And then when they graduate, the job that they were promised isn't waiting for them because it was all a lie. Some of it's a lie. Some of it was good stuff. But what professionals are making nowhere near enough to basically offset the cost of living. And that's what's happening in Australia too right now, and New Zealand. Over the past few months, an increasing number of strata corporations, BC, particularly those in Metro Vancouver, have seen their insurance costs go through the roof, with skyrocketing increasing in premiums, deductibles, and monthly fees, said MLA Todd. It's imperative that we take action against this and best mitigate the impact of this growing crisis before it gets any worse. These costs are then downloaded on residents, many of them who are paying thousands of dollars more a year in fees. It is imperative that we take action to best mitigate the impacts of the growing crisis before it gets any worse. Stone outlined the number of examples of his own riding Kamloops South Thompson, where some strata premiums shot up 400% in 1 year. The increases are linked to global risk factors such as wildfires and floods. So we covered this already, right, on the channel like 3 times with strata fees going through the roof. Now, people can't sell the property now because the strata, they can't get insurance on the property. So it's a two-sided coin. Now, they're rich on paper because they bought it at the right time, but now they can't sell their property because they can't get insurance. The potential purchaser of the property can't insure the property, right? So when you have these real estate agents say, buy now, or it will always be bought out of the market. Now you buy now, you can't even get into the market because your property can't even get insured properly. Or you can't even sell your big profits that you made on paper with these units. He tabled strata property Amendment Act that would include the following legislative changes. Add new strata unit definition to better clarify the responsibility of the strata building insurers versus individual unit owners. Require strata corporation to provide a company of proof of insurance so that buyers know the terms, premiums, amounts of deductible, and coverage limits. Property and insurance renewals terms are provided at least 30 days in advance to give strata corporations more notice of any impending increases. Require unit owners to buy liability insurance to make sure individuals are able to cover their costs of a major water leak, for example, in strata insurances only covered common areas. Stone is also calling the government to implement a water damage prevention program to provide financial incentives for preventive maintenance in strata buildings. So there was a race to the sky, basically, buildings being propped up, pre-builts being propped up, people buying into the market, a huge frenzy of buying, and it's propped up the pricing so high that no insurance company wants to touch it. I talked to my friend who's an insurance broker down in Sarasota, Florida. He's like, oh, Mike, I saw your video on that. You're 100% spot on. The price, no insurance company in their right mind will cover any of these buildings. They're just, condos are, for the longest time, are the least expensive unit or apartment tenements are usually the cheapest to get into, the most affordable to get into, because you can't get into the detached market, the semi-detached market, the townhouse market. So what do? You get into the condo, loft, and single bachelor suite apartments. But now it's gotten to a point where FOMO kicked in, and you had all these real estate agents saying, if you don't own now, you'll always be bought out of the market forever. Forever. We will review the bill, says the NDP. Oh my God, here we go, more problems here. The provincial government agreed to consider the suggestions as holds talks including with the strata associations and the insurance industry and the BC Financial Services Authority. I'm happy to take a look at the bill to see if there are ideas we can incorporate into those discussions we're having. Finance Minister Carol James Doe. Period. When Stone asked the NDP plans to respond, she said again, as she has many times before, that an issue is not exclusive to BC and is happening in other provinces too. Again, Toronto's seeing this problem too. They can't get insurance. Insurance is up for renewal, and they can't insure these properties because they're just too high. The same property, again, you could buy the same property in South Carolina, like condo. They call them they call these things flashy condos, but they're just apartments. 70, 80 grand for the same thing. Sure, an insurance company will insure that because it's within a limit, right? It's within a standard, right? But paying that much money, $700,000, $800,000 units, multi-million-dollar units that are realistically worth 80% less, it's not gonna fly. It's not, and I've been saying this for years. A home is where you lay roots, keep your mind focused, start a family, send your kids to school. So you're not moving around all over the place. You're settled, and that's why I left the city Bought a house for 260 grand, and it's been the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. Was get out of this Mickey Mousing here that's been going on, and bringing in more and more wealthy investors. How much money is laundered through these condos? Who knows? We have over $200 billion in laundered money across Canada. This is hurting the taxpayers. The average Joe Donuts, it's hurting everybody. Even if you're couch surfing or you can't afford to buy or you can't afford your rent, this is all happening. All stemming from bags of money coming into Canada and nobody's stopping it. And why? It's affecting everybody. Oh, you can't own? It's just you don't make enough. No, that's bull. You make more than enough to live a standard, normal life in Canada. But it's just it got so expensive that people got greedy with the rent evictions. People taking advantage of charging more rent to people from the coast moving into the interior. Tony G., Executive Director of Condominium Home Insurances Association of BC, supports the proposed amendments, saying it will help raise the profile of seriousness of this issue. If you are being affected by strata insurance, CBC would like to hear your story. Please email them here. So this story is from the CBC, and I think I covered the original CBC story for you guys originally here on the channel. Now, here's the deal with this. I think they might federalize strata fees. That become federalized or provincialized, like our insurance company here, where we have one car insurance company here. And when you go to the dealership to buy a car, you got the ICBC disco girls there to sell you insurance there, dressed up all fancy like they're going to a nightclub type of thing. I've noticed that every time I go buy a vehicle, there's always these nightclub girls there selling insurance. It's like, what the heck is going on here? And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to know what the heck is happening here. Because now, the province is going to help owners with skyrocketing strata insurance? But what about the people that were bought out of the market? What about the people that waited? What about the smart people that said, you know what, I'm not buying into this fiasco. Let these people lose their shirts. Oh no, here's a little incentive. Here, we're going to help you out. But what about the people struggling and have to go to food bags to get food? You got to be kidding me. I'm not going to say much. I'm not going to get into this any deeper than I did. I want you guys to comment below. I'll be reading your comments. Share this video. Get it out there. Let's create some sort of awareness on what the heck is happening in this housing. If anybody knows housing or anything about what's happening in housing, it's me. I've been talking about it for the last almost 9 years now. It's been going into 9 summers. I've been talking about this Mickey Mousing of this housing market. It's happening all over the Commonwealth, Australia, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Canada, and Western United States, from Seattle all the way down to San Diego, Tijuana, Mexico border. Let me know, reading your comments in the next few minutes. Thanks for watching.